Good morning and welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Stephanie. I am Stephanie, your host, and I am super excited and delighted to be interviewing my friend and colleague, Kassandra Hamilton. Kassandra, hello.
Hi, I'm so
Welcome.
excited to be here too.
I was just looking at the video display, making sure that this is right. Meanwhile, let's see. So I would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you are, and what you are up to in the world, and what kind of magic shows up as a result.
Yeah. Oh, what a great question. I love that word magic, and I will come back to that at the end as well. But my name is Kassandra Hamilton, and I'm a speaker and facilitator, an author, and founder of Ready, Set, Realign. Um, and just, yeah, a little bit about my life. For most of my life, was a high achiever, still am. I earned a Master's of Science in Global Health and had a successful consulting career. I've spent most of it in healthcare, in Indigenous health, digital health systems, systems change. And I was really driven by this idea of trying to bridge gaps between systems and the people that they're meant to serve. But underneath all of that, there was always this anxiety, like a push energy, always forward movement. I was tired and disconnected from myself. And I felt like I was constantly pushing through. And then I'd attain a goal and I would just be like, it doesn't feel as good as I thought it was. I was always
Mm,
reaching for something in the future. And what I eventually realized is that burnout isn't just an individual problem. It's often the result of people trying to survive in systems and expectations and definitions of success that no longer fit, whether they've inherited that through society, socialization, family systems. Um, that realization really changed the direction of my work within the last
mm,
2 years. And so today I help individuals and organizations prevent burnout, and I also help them strengthen their psychological safety, emotional resilience in high stress environments, and create sustainable performance, but from the inside out. And I get into that a lot in my first book where I talk about realigning from the inside out.
nice.
So yeah, so whether I'm speaking, or facilitating a workshop, coaching leaders or publishing stories, I feel like um, we need to create more meaningful work without sacrificing ourselves in the process. And that's a really big message, and it is possible. And really at the heart of what I do, it's a simple belief that when people really, really reconnect with who they are and they're living from a place of values and alignment and pause for intention before action, they lead differently and they work differently, they relate differently, and ultimately create healthier systems around them and their communities. So that's really the work that lights me up and why I'm here today.
I love it. I love it. So, how did you get into this? So, you led yourself into a master's degree, which is a lot of schooling. Um,
Mhm.
what's your like biggest why? Where did it start? I mean, I heard the burnout part, but why
Yeah,
health? Where did it start?
yeah, great question. So when I was 13, my mom took me to India for a year and I homeschooled myself. And while I was there, I saw things like rickets, um, leprosy, health conditions that I wasn't privy to prior to traveling to India and like a poorer country. And it sort of lit this fire in me because I knew that these were preventable diseases. And so when I came back home, I was really driven to bridge gaps between inequalities in healthcare. So that
Mm,
really motivated me to then pursue medicine. I thought I was going to be a doctor, and I wrote the MCAT twice, and then I just had this really strong intuition that it was a system, a rigid system that I couldn't make changes within. So I pivoted and I did a master's of science to understand the indicators of health beyond physical factors alone. Like, what are the social, geographical, political, economic factors of health too, um, that inform why these diseases exist, and where they exist. So, yeah, that's really how it started for me. And going further back, when I was 5, I actually had this recurring dream where I would wake up and remember holding my hands out with this like light going between me and someone who needed it. And I always thought that meant I was going to be a doctor just because that was the
mhm.
traditional sort of path that people
Oh,
take
sure, yeah.
to help people. But there's so many different ways to help people. And, I learned that through all the work that I did. There's just so many entry points and so many different ways of looking at what support looks like that can, when we take them in combination, really support a whole person moving through this journey of coming back to a place of well-being within themselves.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Hmm.
We actually have something in common because when when I went back to school, so I didn't want to go to school when I was in my 20s. I avoided it and entered corporate America instead. Um, and burnt out myself. At the end of it, realized I actually really wanted to understand why I was in pain and why I was having trouble, and it led me into a holistic health degree. I wanted to understand the whole person, so I have a very liberal education in like the entire human experience, and I wanted to understand everything. So I continue to learn. I'm still learning. I'm working on a naturopathy practitioner degree right now, and I have a ridiculous amount of books about health because I just can't stop. I find it infinitely, human beings are infinitely interesting. So,
Absolutely. And the magic
yeah.
there is that your
Oh,
body really
yes.
speaks to you, and your health is a big piece of the story of your life and what's happening for you. And when we slow down to pay attention, we can navigate that really well without medications, you know?
Yes. Yeah. So that's exactly why, Wellness Wednesdays with Stephanie started, because I know that it, despite the fact that I've studied a ridiculous amount about health and wellness, I know that there's more. And I know that we can go deeper and deeper and deeper and have so much more awareness about healing. I have a vision for humanity that will eventually have no more illness, and cancer will be rare, heart disease will be rare, and we'll actually come to a place of like true health among all humans.
Mm.
That's a future. Obviously, we're not there, right? So, with that in mind, what do you think is the biggest challenge for an individual?
I really think it's a expectation placed on someone, whether it's in childhood, in work settings, culturally, um, having something placed on you and then sort of molding you into a certain direction, being told that, if you achieve this and you do all these things and you're a good girl and you please everybody else, I'm coming from a woman perspective here, but, like then you're going to be successful. Then people will like you. Then you'll be accepted. At the end of the day, we're all searching for connection. We're hardwired for connection and to be accepted and loved. And so our subconscious works with these patterns that do whatever we can to fit the mold where we're going to be accepted in society. And I think that without questioning our own values and capacities, and just moving through things in this like rapid fire way that we do nowadays, especially with the expectations that we just produce and are continuously flooded with information. If we don't pause, then the overwhelm, the burnout, the disease, it's just going to take over. And so I always say that the power is in the pause when we can just take a breath, take a pause, and ask ourselves questions. Is this really going to matter, for my life, or can I actually take a break? Am I feeling overwhelmed? Is this in alignment with my values? Am I actually moving beyond my capacity to, extend myself for this task? And what are the consequences of that, right? We can actually start to make better decisions when we're regulated, when we take a pause, when we that and that's brief moment of just taking a pause before acting is absolutely where our power lies. I think a lot of people think they don't have a lot of power or choice, but we do. And that's
Yes.
it. That's the magic sweet spot is just taking that pause.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. I've been a practitioner of yoga and meditation for almost 25 years now, and I have one of my favorite concepts. I don't remember the name of the practitioner who taught me this, but that in stillness is when everything stops. So if you have struggles with like being mindful or being present, when you take a breath and you hold your breath, in that moment when you hold your breath, in that stillness moment, nothing is happening in your brain. And so you've got, maybe 10 seconds of absolute stillness. And in that stillness is when the magic happens. That's when you're
Yes.
able to really truly connect. And I love this. I love this
So
conversation. It's so yummy.
yeah, so I'm gonna just really briefly also bring my nerdy science background in. Um,
Yes, please.
so I'm fascinated. I've always been fascinated by stem cells and the neuroplasticity and the potential. And so what we're speaking of, I actually relate to science where it's like when you have that pause, anything is possible from that point forward. Your reaction, everything. And so with stem cells, for anyone who's listening and doesn't know how it works, when you put a stem cell in a petri dish with a heart cell, it actually mimics the heart cell and becomes like the heart cell. And that's how they breed these new cells to heal different parts of the body. And that's
Mhm.
why stem cell research is so incredible. But there's that moment um, of potential, they call it, where it commits itself to becoming a certain thing. And so it's like when you think of it spiritually, there's like a nothingness, and then it becomes a form, and then it's committed. Um, and then that's the path that it's moving forward. But until then, there's so many different potentials for which direction it goes in. And I like to think of the pause like that.
Oh, I love it. Yes. Oh, beautiful. So love to talk a little bit about your book. The first book that you wrote, The Magic of Realigning from the Inside Out. Where did it start? What was the call inside of you that made you want to write?
Yeah, thank you. I was working in government with a pretty high profile organization that was focused on quality improvement in the healthcare system. And so I was working with doctors in quality improvement, coaching, providing learning sessions, facilitating working sessions with them to understand how to better support patient care. Um, and in that, again, I found myself working in a rigid system. And it was hard to make change as an individual. And I was trying lots of different approaches and ways of doing things, spice things up, provide a new perspective. And I hit a period of burnout at the same time as I lost my grandmother, my grandfather, my other grandmother, my dog, and my relationship all within 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
hmm
Wow.
And
Talk
yeah,
about a dark night of the soul, right?
yeah. And so I collapsed, anything I was hiding or performing or like, managing, it just sort of fell apart. And I remember being on my apartment floor and being like, my social media has me looking like this super successful woman in an apartment downtown with a high-rise downtown uh, office. And I'm so sad and miserable and grieving and empty. And I just felt like there was this hole inside of me I couldn't ever fill. And that was the turning moment for me when I started, going inward and really understanding what was happening inside for me and what I needed to match my outward success with my inner fulfillment. And the next 10 years, I did that. I got really deep into personal growth, became a practitioner of different modalities. And at that point, I was like, reading back on my journal entries, wow, I would love to share this experience in hopes that it could touch someone else's life and make them feel less alone, inspire them, um, create some kind of positive impact. And so that's
Mm.
what drove me to then take those journal entries, review them, analyze them, and understand that what I went through was really four phases. Four phases of understanding myself and then being able to realign from the inside out. So that's really the framework now that I use with my clients.
Beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that you turned it into magic. That's I think really that's the concept of transformation. It's how we transform. It's recognizing that our suffering and our pain can become something that can help other people. And I mean, I think that's the story of almost every healer on the planet. The healer be healed concept, that we need to
Hmm.
heal ourselves first in order to help anybody else. And I
Yes.
think that, I've actually been in the last few months in my own dark night of the soul and understanding myself and seeing what I truly want to create in the world. And beautiful things are coming of that. I'm in the middle of my transformation, so it's really, really amazing that we're having this conversation today because
Yay.
it's my own personal inspiration. I love it. Let's dive a little deeper. So, let's talk a little bit more about nervous system regulation. So, this is a hot topic nowadays. A lot of people are talking about recognizing your nervous system. There's a lot of noise out there on the internet about the vagus nerve. So, what is your take on nervous system regulation? How do you use it?
Great question. And I have three practical things that I actually speak about to universities and employee wellness programs. Most recently, a team of library staff who are going through a lot of burnout. Um, and what I like to say is we can do this in real time. Your nervous system is ancient. So, a distressed email can feel the same as a bear walking around on campus. And
Mhm.
logically, we know that's not the case, but the reaction in our body is so archaic and ingrained that it doesn't know the difference. And so, what we need to do is have that awareness and that pause to be like, okay, there's no bear. This is just an email. And what can we do? What are some strategies we can do to really mm, calm our nervous system? One is breathing. So, I like to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What are five things I can see, four things I can hear, I think it is. But yeah, there's a few different breathing techniques you can use, or breathe in for 4, hold for 7, out for 7 kind of thing. Um, then I like to use a technique called RAIN, which was coined by Tara Brach, who's an amazing psychologist and radical compassionate teacher of compassion, radical compassion, sorry. Um, and so R stands for recognizing. So what am I feeling? Oh, this is anxiety. Okay. A is for accepting or acknowledging. So, this is anxiety. That's okay. I understand why I'm anxious. Investigating. The why is because of this email. I'm feeling really overwhelmed. And then the N is for nourishing. So what's that part of ourselves that's scared? And how can I, calm that part of myself? Like, what I say in those moments is, it's okay that I'm feeling anxious. I see you. I see you. You're safe. Everything's okay. And it's amazing what happens when you go through that process. It takes 3 to 5 minutes. I encourage people to go to the bathroom if you're feeling overwhelmed and just investigate what's going on for you. It creates emotional regulation, resilience, and it's a good nervous system strategy as well for,
Love
in the
it.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Hmm.
think that's what's really um the aha moment for a lot of people because, I've personally, I've been in therapy for 20 years. I understand that my body has been activated for a very long time, and I didn't know that I was so activated. I didn't know why I was in stress all the time. I didn't know why I was having all these problems until I started acknowledging my nervous system and I started recognizing, wait a minute, I'm activated in this moment. Like my insomnia is when I'm nervous system activated and I need to bring myself back. And so these are amazing practices that literally you can practice in 5 minutes. You don't
right?
have to spend 20 years in therapy to manage your nervous system. It's a 5-minute practice.
Exactly. And
So,
then the third one, I just want to share quickly, the third one has been amazing for me. And um, it's about energy management in your schedule. So stay with me for a second here. When you look at your schedule for the week on Monday, and you're like, okay, I have an energy giving activity and an energy taking activity. I like to look at it from that perspective. Okay, what do I have in my calendar? And then you can like color code them. So on Monday, I have 3 meetings. Those are energy taking. What do I have scheduled in to balance this from an energy perspective? Okay, I need to book in a walk. I need to book in a bath. I need to, balance this out so that I'm not feeling depleted at the end of every single day. And when you start to look at it from that perspective, it becomes like an energy map or a heat map or whatever you want to call it. So that's the third thing that I like to share with people who are feeling overwhelmed
oh,
is, let's not add things in. Let's like move things around as an energy map to make sure the colors are evenly spread across your calendar.
oh wow. I have things like tasks that I need to do for self-care in my calendar, but I had never considered energy from that perspective of, energy giving, energy taking. But I can see why there are days that I get overwhelmed. Like I know tomorrow is going to be ridiculous and it's mostly giving. I have very little taking in there. So maybe I
So
need
I
to
want to
space
invite
some
you
time
then.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe look at, what does the rest of, next week look like? And could you move anything? Who says you
Well,
don't have
tomorrow,
permission to
no,
do
but
that?
yes, yeah, because it's both
Right.
like these events that I'm attending that I have to be there for, but maybe in between there's space that I could do some self-care. Yeah, oh, I love this conversation. Okay, let me see. So before we came on to record our conversation, we were talking about the other books. So you've been doing some co-authoring. So let's talk a little bit about those. The first one, the one that you said was published a few years ago, Cracking the Rich Code, you said was endorsed by Tony Robbins. How cool is that? Tell me about this book.
Yeah. Yeah. So it actually came out in November. Um, and it's a compilation of entrepreneurs, thought leaders, talking about what it means to crack the rich code. And so, because I'm fascinated with words and the history and the magic behind them, I talked about the idea of rich being the root of the word to reach, meaning impact. And so my chapter is about AI and how when we are thinking about AI, there's a lot of fear, um, scarcity mindset, a lot of fear. And what if we reframe the AI story to how do we amplify the good work that we're already doing from a place of alignment and impact to reach more people?
Mm-hmm.
So
I love it.
reframing that, right? Like from that fear to what can we do here? What's the opportunity? And what do we need to ensure within ourselves and the systems that we're operating in to before we amplify the effect of this and the reach of this? So that's what I wrote about.
Yeah. So then your next co-author series, The Rise of the Self-Led Woman, that one you're releasing very soon, just in a couple weeks, yeah?
Yes, June 25th, we are launching. And that one is actually my own co-author series. So I've become publisher, and it's so weird. It's the first time I've said that out loud. Um,
Ah.
And it's funny, as I'm saying that, it's like, oh, there's that edge, right? Like that imposter syndrome of stretching into a new space. Um, but it doesn't matter that block that I have, because what always motivates me and overrides that is it's my responsibility to share my work with the world and to continue growing and to hold space for others to rise. And so that challenges me to also rise in certain ways. And what I'm doing is collecting women to share their stories of resilience, realignment, rising, whether it's, transition in work or relationship or some kind of hardship that they've gone through that they now see as a golden nugget or a silver lining. And the idea is that, we used to have a lot of mentors in our life. Back in the day, we would have, communities. We'd live in communities and have elders and wisdom holders. And not a lot of us have that, especially with the rise of the nuclear family and then capitalism and all this isolation that we are experiencing and disconnection, despite being in a hyper-connected world. So the idea is reaching behind and pulling other women along with us. And so I have 10 co-authors that have shared their beautiful stories and are bringing them to the world. And in and of itself, it's been such a healing experience and an honor to watch these healing experiences happen in front of me, and to be part of that and to be able to impact women's lives in this way and help them move forward. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about systems, building a support network, integrating into the systems that are our healthcare systems, our corporate systems, our organizational systems, because I know that, that's where a lot of this burnout happens, is in those structured, rigid systems. So what are some ideas? How have you been kind of cracking through those?
Mm. Nice. Um, I'm actually in the process right now of developing some burnout prevention, organizational sustainability, wellness workshops that I can take to HR, people and culture, leadership organizations that are open to making changes. And so, because of the profound effect of doing these personal growth, trainings and my own experience of growing as an individual, I have this vision of applying like a personal growth lens to systems, because it's small, manageable changes. And so, how can we hold systems accountable, knowing that systems are currently not perfect? People have their own baggage and are imperfect. How can we hold both together, and walk forward sustainably in spite of all of these gaps? And instead of blaming one or the other, how do we move
Hmm.
forward sustainably? So that's really where I'm headed and what my speaking engagements are going to be about mostly moving forward. And I'm going to focus on the healthcare system, specifically nursing, because it's near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of nursing friends. I've worked in healthcare alongside nurses, and but it will spread to other industries as well.
Oh yes, I see a big vision in your future, honestly, Cassandra. I think you're amazing.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
mm, okay, what did I miss? Is there anything else you want to discuss?
I am putting together some group programs for anyone who's experiencing burnout right now. I've piloted it twice and it's currently at a low cost. I'm all about accessibility. So, and there's 8 women per program. I'm starting that up in July if anyone's interested in getting in touch about that, to provide support and hold you accountable and with a lot of support and heart. I have that available. I also run monthly events. So this next one, it's on Wednesday of next week. It's called Identity Beyond Achievement. And this is a space where I invite women who are ready to speak or want to try speaking virtually, talk about the topic of the month from their experience with some tips or wisdom that they've learned along the way that they can share with the registrants for those events. And it's getting increasingly popular and lots of engagement from all types of people in health and human services. Um, and it's just an opportunity right now to build community. It's free, or by donation. It's a pay it forward model. So whatever you can afford kind of thing, again, to make it as accessible as possible. But it's open to anyone who'd like to join. So I just want to invite anyone who's listening to come and participate.
Nice. And I think the timing is perfect. This recording will be released on that same day. So if you catch this video before the event, what time of day is it hosted?
10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, perfect timing. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Cassandra. This has been such a great conversation. Now I would love for you to share how can people reach you? So website, email, whatever you'd like to share.
Yeah, the best way is to go to my website, which is www.readysetrealign. So it's REALIGN .ca.
Okay.
www.readysetrealign.ca. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm all over the place. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And now those links will also be shared in the description below so you guys can click and find her that way. And to
And
close, yeah. Oh,
I've opened up volume 2 for the rise of the self-led woman for anyone out there who's ready to tell their
ooh,
story, knows that they don't have a lot of time. And I'll tell you more about that because this process is very efficient for those who are high achieving type but still want to tell their story. So if you're curious about that, please get in touch and apply through the website. We'll include that link as well.
yes. Yeah, I just might have to apply myself. Okay.
I would love that.
So in closing, I would love for you to share a little bit of wisdom or inspiration for our audience.
Okay, here it is. The word abracadabra, since we're talking about magic, literally means with my word, I create. So if you think about that and going back to that pause and that intentionality and the potential of the space in between one thing and another, you have a thought, you speak the thought, you act on the thought becomes your identity, and that becomes your reality. That's
Hmm,
magic.
beautiful. Whew, I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Bye.
Bye.